You're listening to the Meta Business Innovation and Technology Podcast. Today's episode is on the importance of diversity in business. Once again, Jess Liao, our manager of SEAR&D here at Meta, will be moderating this panel discussion. She is joined by the founders of Savvy, David Chang and Raymond Koo, as well as Brittany Campbell, the Strategic Audience Partnership Lead at Meta, and Cecilia Green, Global Partnership Marketing Manager at Meta. Together, they will discuss the challenges facing minority business owners and how Meta can help.
Diversity is central to Meta's mission of creating a more open and connected world. Historically centered as an HR function, diversity has not always been seen as core to driving business growth. However, over time, the concept and need for diversity has evolved to be a critical business imperative. Here at Meta, our vision is focused on transforming the way businesses, partners, and diverse suppliers connect to customers, communities, and the world in order to grow. For our conversation today, we welcome one of our diverse-owned Meta business partners here with us, Savvyworks. For those who are unfamiliar, Meta business partners are companies Meta has vetted for their expertise. From running ads to selling products and engaging with your customers, they offer services and solutions for businesses of all sizes across a variety of specialty areas, including creative, campaign management, commerce, and messaging. With that, I'd love to extend a special warm welcome to Reiku and David Chang from Savvyworks to our panel today.
Thanks for having us today.
Amazing. We're also excited to welcome two MetaMates who support Meta business partners, Brittany Campbell and Cecilia Green, to our panel today. Brittany sits on the Strategic Audience Partnerships team within Business Ecosystem Partnerships. Her team focuses on diversifying Meta partner ecosystems and accelerating growth of diverse-owned small businesses with the help of Meta business partners. Welcome, Brittany.
Hello.
And we also have Cecilia Green. Cecilia sits on the Global Business Marketing team and is a program lead for the Center of Excellence on Business Equity team within Meta. The Center of Excellence is responsible for understanding and amplifying the various equity-related programs across the company as it relates to supporting businesses and influencing equitable outcomes for our partners.
Hello.
And I'm Jess. Oh, God. And I'm Jess. I'm on the business engineering team, and I'm humbled and honored to moderate a talented group of leaders to chat about diversity as a business imperative and how companies can support diverse-owned businesses. So let's start by hearing from our business partners. David and Ray, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. First and foremost, thank you so much for having us here today. We're really excited to take this opportunity to not just talk about Savvy and what we're doing, but just also take part in this discussion around diversity as a business imperative. So thank you very much. Just some quick background. My name is David Chang. I'm Managing Director and Co-founder here at Savvy. And my partner, Raymond Koo, he's also Managing Director and Co-founder at Savvy. And we just wanted to, give you a little bit of a backstory. So we come from the technology side within the creative advertising space. So about 5 years ago, we really started to go on this journey where we developed technology to make it easier for brands to create a lot of different types of creative advertisements through video, but also connect it to data in order to get the best results possible. So through that process, it's been a really interesting challenge, but also just a blessing in order to go through this process together.
Actually, we always say that Savvy is really made to scale the unscalable. But the creative been the biggest performance lever for the brands nowadays. Our mission is to enable any e-commerce brand to have a great performing ads that can help them to scale their business. For an advertiser to be truly data-driven, to have the ability to take data, turn that into actionable creative is a difficult process. But that's what we made Savvy to do for everyone that, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, and I think another interesting fact is that we actually became Meta business partners about a year ago. So throughout the entire pandemic and everything that's been going on, it was really a great opportunity for us. And it's one that Ray and I really kind of took a look at. And we're like, okay, this is really important for us as minority-owned business, but also just to be able to leverage the partnerships that we've made just through all the different really great people over at Meta, but also shine a light upon what we're trying to do and how that really interconnects with Meta and Savvy's mission overall.
Yeah, we have made a great relationship over the last year. We took part in several roundtable discussions, collaborating with the different areas of a business. Overall, it's a great opportunity to connect with the events around Meta's advertising programs to give us access in that conversation.
Wow, joining during the pandemic. What a wild and opportunistic time to come on board as a Meta business partner. How were you all affected by the pandemic?
Well, pre-pandemic, we were already challenged with everything that's involved with the innovation and the building a business around new technology and the creative. But when the pandemic hit, that much of our team started to work from home, it felt like everything slowed down. Okay, and adding the recent anti-Asian sentiment, I'm sure many minority businesses have faced incredible challenges, and we are no different.
Yeah, I think for us overall, we've really gone through a lot of challenges that we faced. First and foremost, with everything that's gone on with the emergence of video conferencing and virtual meetings and things like that, right? Like that really enabled us, thankfully, to have business continuity during such a crazy and critical time with everything going on. But at the same time, with a business like ours, and I'm sure for a lot of you folks as well, some things are just better off done in person. So when we're running our day-to-day business, it makes a lot of sense to be able to do that. But there is something really important about being in a room together, bouncing off different ideas, especially when it comes to where are we taking the business, how are we innovating, and how do we continue to drive towards our mission. So I would say that's been a challenge overall. And also probably the even greater macro challenge is that not just are we have we been inside of a pandemic, but there's just been so many difficulties around social, racial issues and divides that have been going on, and not to mention the fact that there's a war going on the other side of the world as well. So there's just a lot of different things that have been a challenge throughout this period of time. I feel like we're kind of in the midst of history being written, and for us, it does mean some greater things. It means a little bit more of a focus, not just around our business and what we're doing day to day, but it also opens up kind of a discussion around empathy for others, understanding the challenges, what we're all facing just from a mental health standpoint, but also with everything that we're facing that's already in lieu of all the happenings within the world. So it's been a difficult process, but I think us, like a lot of other businesses, we're continuing to go through it together.
Well, like an old saying that in the middle of the difficulty lies opportunity. There was a study by McKinsey, the e-commerce landscape accelerated during the first 3 months of a pandemic. This shift has much broader implications on most of our customers, as we see a huge growth in not only D2C businesses, but a Facebook, Instagram, and a shop as well.
Absolutely. One of the things that, we really noticed during this time, especially as we work with small businesses, Meta is known for, providing a platform for small businesses to really take advantage and use their dollars wisely, right? So what we saw during the pandemic, specifically within diverse communities, that has just been tough overall. We saw disproportionate small businesses closing. Black, Latinx, API, they closed at a much, much higher rate than what we saw with non-diverse owned businesses. So that was something that we knew as a company we needed to take action on. We knew that we need to also kind of address these strategic communities, primarily because they were experiencing discrimination also with the racial reckoning that was going on. And this wasn't, necessarily targeted towards, just Black folks. We also saw it happening with our Asian community, right? So, one of the things that when we talked to some of these small businesses, what they needed help now. They needed to stop the hemorrhaging that was happening as a result of the pandemic, with consumers not being able to shop, them not being able to keep up with their expenses. So we took a number of actions to kind of start to help these communities. One that comes out and stands out for me, so I had an opportunity to work on it, was our support for Black-owned businesses. We were able to provide an investment of $100 million to Black businesses, small-owned businesses, Black creators. We also supported nonprofits. We gave them money, and we also gave them ad credits to keep their business top of mind for consumers as we were going through the pandemic. We also decided as a company that it was important that not only are we helping our small businesses, but we're also helping suppliers. And so we made some internal pledges for us to be able to support diverse suppliers as well. We pledged to spend $1 billion year over year for the next infinity, probably, as we've gone forward. And then, the other thing is also what we saw is that a lot of people had to kind of shift and reset, right? The things and skills that they had before no longer maybe were applicable within the pandemic. So we also took it upon ourselves to work with one of our internal programs or one of our external programs called Elevate to figure out how we can educate these communities and give them new skill sets, right? So we worked with over 1 million Black and Latinx community members to try to give them new skill sets that they can succeed in the future. But one thing that really was kind of near and dear heart was the financial infusion, because that was where we saw very in real time what just a little bit of capital support. I think, David, you mentioned earlier, right? Or I think it might have been Ray, that, you were having some challenges before the pandemic, right? So then now they're in the pandemic and those issues have just deepened. So being able to invest money back. And then most recently, I'll share this, is that we were able to invest $2 million in Asian-owned businesses because they were also experiencing a huge backlash during COVID, which was also very much something that we saw and wanted to make sure that we were actually helping and support the communities as well. But we also not outside of just doing financial support, because that's not always sustainable, right? We've seen a ton of companies jump into this conversation and wanting to do things and support, but it's not just about the financial commitment. It's also how do we help improve how businesses work with us?
Exactly, Cecilia. We, in addition to providing capital to businesses to help get them through, we also built out a number of tools and resources. One of the examples, diverse-owned businesses now have the ability to self-identify as diverse-owned across our platforms, including Facebook, Shops, Instagram, in an effort to help them be discovered by people who want to support diverse-owned businesses during this time. And our team has been focused on extending this to Meta business partners. With the launch of the partner directory diversity filter, diverse-owned partners like Savvy are now able to self-identify as such in our external-facing partner directory. The goal of this product launch was to amplify diverse-owned partners in our ecosystem with the hope that we can increase the diversity of our partner ecosystem over the coming months and years. We also know that advertisers have their own diversity-related goals, and we want the partner directory to be a place to find vetted, badged, diverse Meta business partners. In fact, Savvyworks was the first partner to self-identify as Asian-owned. We are thrilled to have them as an inaugural partner for this launch, and we're so excited to see how we can collaborate together more in the coming year.
Wow, congratulations. That's absolutely amazing. What a thoughtful feature to be able to self-identify as a diverse-owned business. As an owner of my little chocolate shop, I'll have to check that feature out myself. And it's also amazing to hear that we'll be extending that feature to many more Meta business partners. So Ray, there's been an increase of support from companies for diverse-owned businesses. How, if at all, has this positively impacted you and your business? And what else would you like to see in terms of support from the industry at large and from Meta?
We are minority-owned certified, which is a badge that we proudly hold. To be honest, we don't always know the best way to grow opportunities and the ways to highlight our diversity. That's why we're so excited to be here today.
For us as a business, it's been a challenge because we've been so laser focused on developing the business, a lot of the technology that comes into play. So where we end up becoming not so good at, really, to be perfectly honest, is in how we find out and how we learn about some of the opportunities that do exist and how we, as a business, take advantage of it. So with us being a minority business, it really means, going through a lot of the adversity of breaking against status quo, trying to build something that we truly, truly believe in, and at the same time, finding those resources that are out there, right? Now, that being said, just the mere fact that we're sitting here having this conversation, it tells us a lot. There's a lot of great things that are happening currently with the whole topic of DEI in general. It wasn't such a big topic not too long ago. And here we are today, we're speaking about it, we're talking about all these fantastic initiatives. And I loved hearing a lot of what Meta was doing, because that's what is at the heart of this, is that finding those things that are going to make an impact for a lot of these minority businesses. And for us, it's no different. I don't think that there would be a lot of options that exist today that really weren't there in the future, or in the past, rather. But that said, I do think that I believe in a lot of progression, and progression takes time. It takes time, and getting to where we really see the future of a really fantastic marketplace of diverse, minority-owned businesses all thriving together, I think it all happens through a lot of these initiatives that happen today. And we're really just kind of in the middle of it. So I'm really excited. I'm extremely optimistic about where things are moving towards, and we're constantly moving in that right direction that it needs to go. Now, from my standpoint, and what we're looking at, and often what Ray and I try to look at when we look at our certifications, we do wish there are ways in which we can amplify that deeper. How do you find the right places in which these opportunities do exist? That's why I think that part of what Brittany was explaining to us before, and why we're so excited in order to be a part of those changes into the platform that really highlight us as a minority-owned business. Initiatives like that go a really long way in order for us to be able to shine a light upon our business and what is our offering. And I think along those lines, I'd like to see more of that. I know that there's a lot of different types of businesses that are really keying in and focusing on that. And I know that just by the nature of our business, we speak to a lot of small to large minority-owned businesses as well. And they're constantly challenged with how do they get the word out better. So a part of it is finding the places to get awareness. A part of it is understanding where the resources lie so that we can action upon it. And I think the more and more businesses take and focus on initiatives like we're doing today, the more it gives a chance for businesses in order to kind of understand how they can take part in it, how they can get their name known. And I think that's something that's really important as we move forward.
So David, you mentioned that it's difficult to learn what resources are available. What's your routine for finding information? How do you like to receive communication?
Yeah, I think there's a number of different ways to do it. Because Ray mentioned, right, we've been minority certified for many years now. So that's something that's like a proud badge that we put across a lot of our marketing and initiatives. But aside from that, we don't really have a go-to place, right? It's a little bit on us in order to understand and know what's going on in the world and what's available. So one, I do think that a lot of the changes that Brittany spoke about and giving us the opportunity to list ourselves as minority owned, more and more initiatives like that I would love to see so that there are ways in which we can take advantage of it, and it's kind of shining a light and we're able to see that.
I have a question about that. You often hear a lot about, working with diverse suppliers and diverse owned businesses. Well, can you share a little bit about what makes it so different or so special to actually have kind of diversity as part of kind of your makeup and your branding, right? We're talking about how important diversity is as a business imperative. Why is that so important from your words?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I think kind of like you were touching upon earlier, with diversity comes diverse thinking and thought, different backgrounds and all sorts of different ways. There's cultural backgrounds, there's social economic backgrounds. But when you bring a lot of that type of thinking together, that's where the magic happens, right? That's where the best ideas can surface. There's something to be said about inertia and things that have happened over time where it just promotes a little bit of sameness in thinking. And the way that the diversity really enables a lot of this new ways of showcasing and coming up with new ideas, that's where the interesting innovation really truly comes from. And it shows that. It shows that internally. It shows it probably from a revenue standpoint, but just in terms of being able to action upon things and even disagreeing in the right way, right? That's what brings about really great conversation and movement.
Yeah. One of the things that we've been really focused on with the business equity work that we're doing is really making sure, as we're working with businesses large and small, that they understand how important that is to driving their business forward. You mentioned about revenue. It is about revenue. They're all businesses. We're all businesses, trying to grow, and understanding your consumer and understanding what their thought process is. It's important to have people in the room that can help represent that. And so we oftentimes talk a lot about diversity of thought, right? It's not just these, demographics that people always think about. It's the diversity of thought and how you approach problems and how you address needs. One of the things we saw really coming out of the pandemic was, people are definitely paying more attention to themselves, what their needs are, how companies are speaking to them, how companies are addressing, their communities. And so with that kind of increased knowledge and that increased experience, it's like crucial that businesses pay attention to that, right? It's almost like if you don't, you're literally, closing the door on, revenue and opportunities to grow. So I love that you all are very much bringing that into the room, not only from the fact that you also are an Asian-owned business, but also that you have different backgrounds that you're bringing into the room and that you're able to service businesses large and small. So that's one of the things that I found really interesting and very core about your business at Savvy, is that you're able to kind of work across and you take into consideration your client needs. So I definitely wanted to make sure we kind of made that connection as we're thinking and moving forward, because diversity is not just a business imperative, it's crucial to your growth.
Absolutely.
And I'm thrilled that we were connected to you, Savvy. I know you mentioned that a lot of diverse-owned partners just don't know where to go, don't know how to find us. And so, the Strategic Audience Partnerships team at Meta is focused on, how can we serve diverse-owned partners like yourselves? And I think that, it's not a one-day journey. It's going to take a while, but I'm excited that, we're making steps in the right direction and just focusing on the progress there.
So one of the things I think, Brittany, you touched on is that your team, the Strategic Audience Partnerships team, is really focused on, amplifying diverse-owned businesses and partners so that people know where to find them. And one of the things that we do want to highlight that you can actually action today is that we have a Meta Business Partners directory that we spoke about earlier. And there is a new tool that Brittany and her team have developed alongside our engineering team to add this filter that lets you select your diverse lens and your diverse filter. And so you can definitely find Savvy there. You can find other diverse-owned businesses there. And that helps kind of capitalize and pull your money towards businesses that are addressing a variety of needs and a variety of consumers and communities.
And then if you are a diverse-owned partner listening to this, we would love to have you join our program. So, we encourage you to check out the Meta Business Partner Program. All of the resources for application are online.
It is encouraging to hear that the effort that Meta is being taking, and I'm hopeful that more large established business will continue to take part of this. We at Savvy, we build Savvy to enable D2C brands from startup to enterprise, the ability to make a creative and advertising simpler. On our end, we'd like to offer Savvy for minority business, mentioning this podcast, and we will offer you a 30% discount off.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much for your time today and for sharing insights on the importance of diversity and how companies can support diverse-owned businesses. As Brittany and Cecilia mentioned, at Meta, supporting diverse-owned businesses is a business imperative. And so we're committed to understanding and responding to the needs of diverse communities. We'd also like to give a special shout out and thank you to our guest speakers, David and Ray from Savvyworks. So for all the minority businesses out there tuning into our podcast, we support you. You heard from Ray from Savvyworks. Check them out. Reach out to them for all your brand creative and data needs, and they'll hook you up with a discounted starter pack. Looking for other partners to help drive your business forward? You can also find Savvyworks and other diverse-owned partners in the Meta Business Partner Program online. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this panel discussion on the importance of diversity in business. We'd like to thank our guests, David Chang, Raymond Koo, Brittany Campbell, and Cecilia Green, for their authenticity and for sharing these valuable insights today. And a special thank you to our moderator, Jess Liao. As always, you will find links to any resources mentioned in today's show notes. Thank you for listening to the Business Innovation and Technology Podcast by Meta. Be sure to subscribe and get notified whenever a new episode is released. And help us share these insights with others by leaving a 5-star review.